Welcome home, all. It is Monday, the Monday after, not the Monday before as we were last week. So it is Monday. We are nearly 1 week out of the 2020 presidential election and elections in general, 2020, general election. And, I for the sake of, comity, C-O-M-I-T-Y, you want to be gracious and magnanimous and exhibit some kind of equanimity, which is going to be, the title for today's show. But, there is a point to where too much has been allowed and too much has been given, too much benefit of the doubt, too much opportunity to make right, too many chances to do the right thing. And so I'm just not there anymore. I'm just not. It's just, be blunt, to the point, and clear. I have no more patience regarding where we're at politically in what we've seen over the last 4 years. And if you don't like that, exercise your right to change what you're watching right now and go somewhere else. Gotta love this country, don't you? I do. So, bottom line is, the race is over. There are not even an infinitesimal chance that President Trump will retain position unless he cheats, which he accuses others of doing, even though he's doing that. And I'm not going to get into the weeds on that. Bottom line is that it's done. And as of right now, we really do have the eyes of the world watching us. And then that is nothing to sneer at, snicker at, or brush aside as inconsequential. Since the end of World War II, roughly 7 to 8 decades ago, we have led the world, the free world at least, and the world in general, by dint right of our power and our position when it comes to our ability to project power, force, not just militarily, but economically as well, and culturally. I still remember fondly, and as if it were yesterday, my time in the 80s when I was in Germany as a young buck stationed in Germany during the time that there was still a Berlin Wall. And I remember with crystal clarity going to clubs, going places, and watching on the walls and in images James Dean, Marilyn Monroe, Elvis, some of our most iconic cultural figures out of the 50s and 60s that other countries idolized as much as we did, if not more so, because they respected us, revered us, appreciated us as a country and as a people. I remember that. It's not so much anymore. It's not the same. We still have a little bit of that, but no question we've been damaged. Our perception has been tarnished. Not irreparable, mind you, but definitely damaged and tarnished. So as I say, and as I bring you that quick sidebar, for illustration and education purposes from me to you, in my background, I can tell you directly that the eyes of the world are on us. I spent more time over this last week paying attention, reading, watching, listening to news outlets and sources all over the world and how they covered our election and their thoughts on our election and our processes. Because what the world still understands and knows of us is that we have been, for decades, since World War II, at least, the model and the method when it comes to a free, democratic election process. We are it. Other countries come to us to learn how to run a free and fair election, a democratic process. That has been the case for many decades. By struggling, striving, burgeoning, wanting to grow, wanting to be young democracies. They come to us because we're the gold standard. Okay? So they're watching us right now, and we are, even at this point, in some slight danger of tarnishing that image if we just willy-nilly on the whims of one man, deciding unilaterally that we will not respect the process. Okay? I'm old enough to know what it was 20 years ago in 2000. And I had questions about that election and the Florida recount and everything that went along with it. But when Al Gore stood up and gave easily, mind you, I'm a U.S. history teacher, gave what was easily one of the most gracious and accommodating concession speeches in the history of our republic. It was staggering, but final. And even though there are still people and Democrats and liberals that complain and cry right now about the 2000 election, it's done, we've moved on. And I have absolutely no doubt whatsoever that going forward, that when Donald Trump loses this election, as he already has, and it's finalized, whether he is dragged kicking and screaming from the people's house, our house, there will still be people that believe he was jobbed, cheated, robbed, whatever. Notice how those same people weren't here 4 years ago complaining about the last election because he won. And I don't want to see a devolution, a devolving to petty kindergarten-like cries and complaints when you don't get what you want. Because I know what I would do to my son or daughter. And those of you out there that parent well, you know what you would do too. You wouldn't just chastise that child, you teach them a lesson and make sure that never happened again. Because a child that doesn't receive that lesson ends up growing to be a 70-something-year-old man that continues to act like a child. To wit, all evidence on the table. So, election's done. We'll have more 10-minute shows going forward. I'll speak less and less of President Donald Trump as he makes his way out. However, I will hold to account this last 70-something days because he's still the President of the United States. And he still has the awesome, monstrous power of the office. And I hope to high heaven that he doesn't do us too much damage, because I don't think anybody in their right mind doubts that he's going to do damage on the way out. I hope he doesn't damage us irreparably. And I mean that sincerely. I really do. Again, the eyes of the world are watching the gold standard for democracy. And we need to get it right. That's all I'm going to say. We need to get it right. Okay, so let's do nuts and bolts, and then we're going to be on our way out. And then I'm going to give you my title and things to think about going forward into the week, which was the purpose and the original intent of 10 Minutes of Truth as we wrap up from the weekend and last week going into the new week. So let's go ahead and pull those statistics up, AP. So status quo, the state in which we are now, the state in which we exist current. Here, American deaths in excess of 240, creeping on in an ugly, morbid, and disgusting way toward 250,000 Americans dead by coronavirus. Unemployment, tens of millions of Americans out of work. We are heading toward an eviction and homeless crisis, if not there already, only to be exacerbated even further if this Congress and the President don't get something done for the people that are going into a winter season of hell. It's going to be ugly, ladies and gentlemen. It's going to be ugly. And again, I hope to high heaven that there is something done by this Congress and this President before he leaves, something good for the people of this country, because they're out of work. They don't have food on the table. They don't have money to pay their rent or their mortgage. They're barely existing, in many ways, tolerably. I hope something gets done. And then lastly, the one I've been putting up, this whole time, because it's staggering in scope. It's so staggering that you cannot comprehend the incomprehensible. That is $27.231 trillion of American debt. It has exacerbated and gone harder and further, and before the pandemic. So for any of you that want to say President Trump's not accountable, you're wrong. Want to have that argument? Message me. Still waiting for those messages. I'd love to talk to you. I really would. Social media, an inferior form of communication. $27.23 trillion of debt. And I have to do it because I've been doing it and I'm going to continue to do it. Hey, millennials, got something for you. I'm going to shine it up real nice. I'm going to put a bow on it. But it's still the ugliest thing that you will face in your lifetimes as an American citizen. $27.231 trillion that we are handing to you as a gift. And oh yeah, got to do that too, right? It's all your fault because you guys made this happen. You guys made the decisions that led to this debt. It's all you guys. You're lazy, you don't care, you're shiftless, you don't do anything, you don't care about anything, you don't care about the country. You're the one that created the debt. I did watch Borat this week, so not. All right, let's go ahead and take those ugly stats off. So lastly, and formulaically, and in a resounding way, the title for this show is Equanimity and Magnanimity. What you've heard tonight and what you will not hear going forward on this show, at the very least on this show, this is not the forum for it. I will not gloat. I will not devolve to the petty. I will not make fun of this president as a child, as he does to others. Disabled people. He makes fun of widows. He makes fun of deceased. He makes fun of veterans. He makes fun of women. He makes fun of minorities. He makes fun of anything that is not him or that does not serve his purpose. Fact. Statement of fact, backed up by 4 years and 70 plus years of a life as evidence. I'm good. I've got my evidence. But we will not do that here. We will be magnanimous, even though it is not my victory. I didn't vote for him. I voted against him. And many others have. And there's plenty to be said, and it will be said. But it won't be done on this show. If we do it here, it'll be fact and issue-oriented, because there's plenty that he has done that we need to rectify and correct if we're to go forward properly and remain the greatest country on the planet. Because he didn't make us great again. All he did was bring out the worst in who we are. And for the record, ladies and gentlemen, these things were always there. He just brought them out like no one on this planet ever has. And that's for the record. Equanimity, fair, even-handed, balanced, because that is what we're going to need to go forward. And yes, even though it pains me to say so, because I've taken personal shots from those on the Trump side, just because they don't want me to say anything negative about the guy. We do need to work with other people. We do need to extend an olive branch. If they slap it away, then I'll slap them back. But I will extend the olive branch. And that goes for everybody. Whether you like what I say or not, you will receive from me on this show and the things that I do a minimum standard of professional courtesy and graciousness reserved for your fellow American, if not your fellow man and woman. That's what you'll get here. Equanimity and magnanimity. Two good words to live by going forward, and definitely over this next 70-something days, and definitely once the new president is in office and we go forward. That's what you have from me. I give you that, guarantee it, pledge on it. Go into your week, enjoy, get away from the political for a little bit. It's done. It's done. We voted. Do other things. Pay attention to other things. Live, love, learn, experience, do. There's a lot of life out there beyond the political. Trust me, it does exist. You just got to go get it. All right? Number love for you. We'll be back by the end of the week. I may do another, but I won't say that tonight, but we'll definitely be back by the end of the week on Cheap Date Night. And I'm going to say it again to all my people that are in my group on Facebook, SuperMex Nation, or others. Still going to treat you the same, regardless of whether you were with me or against me. As the President-elect said, you may be my opponent, but you have never been my enemy. I left enemies when I was 21 years old, leaving service. I don't have enemies anymore. Opponents, yes. Enemies, no. Nothing but love for you. Looking forward to working with you. SuperMex is out.